Hello, friends, and welcome to another one of our March break lessons where we learn all about the animals at the aquarium. Today, we will be sharing with you about the octopus. My name is Danielle. I'm one of the educators here. And before we meet up with Noodle and our octopus friends, I will just share with you all of our fun information about our March break time of learning. So we are learning about March break animals here at Ripley's Aquarium of Canada in downtown Toronto, and we are showcasing some of our animals and their feedings and their habitats. So before we get totally started in that, I am going to share our land acknowledgement with all of you, and then we can get started. Ripley's Aquarium of Canada acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. Today, the meeting place of Toronto, also known as Tukaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing, is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to work on this land. So today, we are looking at our friend Noodle. I'm going to make that all full screen so you can see our octopus friend, and we are going to be doing some really cool stuff in our back of house area. So if you're wondering why this is so bright, this is our back of house and not our octopus that is on display. And we are here with two of our aquarists, Pratamash and Morgan, and we will be sharing with you all about the octopus. First off, what we are doing today, and always when we are feeding an octopus, is we are doing enrichment with them. So enrichment is a fancy word that means something that helps keep an animal's mind healthy in a zoo or aquarium setting. So here at the aquarium, that would mean lots of different things. But if you think about at home, you want to think about what you would like to do for fun and what would keep your mind healthy. So maybe you'd like to color or play outside or build with blocks or do something else. And here at the aquarium, we do similar things with our more intelligent animals. So not only the octopus Noodle that you see here, but also our stingrays, our turtles, and some of our other animals. Now, I'm going to show you what we can do here at the aquarium with our animals. With our octopus especially, we have done things like this. So you can see here, we have given our animals some extra stuff to have in their habitat. So not only can they like paint and do puzzles, but we also change up what's in their habitat. So this was our octopus that was out with the guests. And you can see that's a pumpkin. So it was Halloween. We put extra decor and decorations in there. And then the animal was able to interact with something new, just like how sometimes you might want to get a new toy to have in your house. So you have lots of fun with that. On top of all of the enrichment that we do here at the aquarium, there's specific enrichment we do with our octopus. So for our octopus today, we will be sharing some music with our octopus. And apparently Noodle really likes Vivaldi. And that is what she will be listening to during our enrichment session with her. And we will be giving her an extra special treat later on throughout the video, and that will be a lobster tail, which is a really nice treat for them. If you can see, Togi's pointing out, it's in the bucket right there in the center. On top of that, it is a general feeding. When we do enrichment, it is also food because most of our animals love food just like I do. So today's food is going to be crab and scallop and shrimp. Most of our animals eat food similar to that, so shellfish type things or fish, and it's all restaurant quality, very high quality food for our animals that we can also hide some vitamins in if we need to. Their natural food resources for this type of octopus are shellfish and fish, other mollusks, which include snails, squid, and even other octopuses. And in nature, when an octopus finds their meal, they will incapacitate them with their venomous beak. The beak is actually the mouth part of the octopus, and this is how an animal that's so soft-bodied, like an octopus here that you can see, is able to eat something that is a hard-shelled animal that might have claws, like a crab. So I don't know if you've seen this before, but there are many videos online of an octopus versus a crab, and the octopus usually does win because they are able to use a venomous body part in order to get their prey. Now, as I mentioned before, this is our back of house. We don't just have one octopus. There are two octopuses here at the aquarium. They are both giant Pacific octopuses. So that's their species name. And the other one's name is Octavius, and Octavius is out where the guests are. So if you come to visit the aquarium and you're having a tough time trying to find the octopus, use those I Spy eyes and try to look really deep into their habitat because they're quite good at hiding. One of the reasons why we have two different octos at the aquarium, we're just showing the lobster tail there she's gonna get. One of the main reasons we have two different octos at the aquarium is because here we are, want to make sure our animals are as comfortable as possible in their aquarium setting. So that would mean we don't want them to have too much interaction with guests and having too many people banging on the glass, because that is not nice for the animals and they get overstimulated easily. So we want to make sure that they are as comfortable as possible. You might be wondering, how do you switch an octopus with another octopus? It's actually pretty simple. So that stick you can see she's clinging onto. So that stick tells the Noodle that food is coming and she gets to have some food. But there are some other sticks and some other items that we want her to know about. And one of them is a bucket. And we can actually train her and all of the other octos to go into a bucket on their own. And then we can pick up that bucket and move them to where they need to go. Or maybe we can use that to weigh the animals to see how much they weigh. And it is actually a really simple method because we don't have to worry about the challenge of actually catching the animal, because that could be stressful. And also it's their choice to go in the bucket. So it makes it a very easy transition. It just takes a little bit of time to do the training for that. Other than keeping them healthy, the other reason that we do enrichment for our octopuses is they are incredible escape artists. So Togi here has actually this body part that they have, the hard part of their body called the beak. That's what they're actually going to be using in order to eat. Oh, there it is. See how big that is? That's their size limiter. So if they're going to escape and be an escape artist, they can actually squeeze through holes that are that size or larger. So Noodle here has a smaller beak than that, but she's actually quite good at being an escape artist. And here at the aquarium, we are thankful to say that no one has escaped yet, but we have certain things to help us to keep them in their habitats. Number one, most importantly, this habitat, I'm sure you might have noticed, has a lid. The lid right now is open, but later on we'll probably close it when it's done. And we put clamps on the outside of the lid to make sure that she can't get out. But our other octopus habitat, where Octavius lives, oh, there's a clamp, thank you so much. Where Octavius lives, he actually has a special type of barrier on the outside of his habitat that is called turf. And that green stuff that we have there is just the same as you would have in your, like if you went to indoor soccer practice, their suckers just don't work on it. So they don't really like it as much. So they will probably not use their suckers on that, and that will keep them from climbing out of their habitat and being escape artists. This species of octopus is actually the largest species of octopus in the entire world. And the biggest one ever recorded was 600 pounds and 30 feet wide, or 9 meters wide. Noodle and Octavius are about the same size each. So the octopus you were looking at is around 17 pounds or 7.8 kilograms. So they are not that heavy compared to the biggest one, but that's because these ones are younger. This type of animal has 8 arms with suctions all the way along their limbs, and they can have around 240 suckers per arm, which is around less than 2,000 in total. And that allows them to smell and taste and feel their whole habitat space. And I can see Noodle has decided to hide again in her cave in order to enjoy her meal. These suckers that are closer to the tips of their arms are actually quite a bit stronger, and they're able to lift 35 pounds of weight, which is really impressive. An octopus will spend most of their time alone in close to their home range. They are naturally found in the Pacific Ocean off the coast. So any part of the coast in the Pacific Ocean that is more cold, so that would be Canada, United States, Mexico, Korea, Japan, and other places like that. That is where they like to be. But they've been found right tide pools, so right in the shallow shoreline area all the way up to 1,500 meters deep. They can even survive in really cold water. So usually they enjoy less than 15 degrees Celsius, and our habitat here is less than 15 degrees. So they are really enjoying that cold habitat space. This animal is also nocturnal. So if you visit an octopus habitat, you might notice it's really, really dark there. So they like to spend a lot of their time being in a shelter and not hunting, and they like being in a cave to save energy for their next hunt. It is very important that you do not shine lights or use flash photography around an octopus because they are very photosensitive. So they're very sensitive to bright lights. A good rule of thumb is if you visit any aquarium or zoo and you see the habitat you're looking at is in a dark space, that means that animal likes darkness. So please be respectful and don't use flash photography. And if you see somebody doing so, you can explain to them that darkness is what this animal likes, and we want to respect their habitat space. It is very important to keeping the octopus nice and happy. If you're wondering about predators, the main predators for adult octos is aquatic mammals, diving birds, and obviously other octopuses. They can use some different strategies to help them survive an encounter with a predator. So one of the biggest ones, which I'm sure you already know about, is camouflage. So I'm going to show you a picture. Let's see if you can spot our octopus camouflaging here. This is from a wild photo. They're able to change their color and their texture to blend in with their surroundings, which is the same thing that our octopus could do as well. They are able to do this by using a special feature of their body, which is called chromatophores, which are just color changing cells that allow them to camouflage into their habitat. Many other animals are able to do this, which includes their close relatives, cuttlefish and squid, but also seahorses and chameleons. The octopus can camouflage for two reasons. One of them is to hide from predators, and the other one is to lie and wait for others to come. So maybe their prey that they're trying to catch. Now, during our presentation, you'll probably end up noticing, there we go. You'll probably end up noticing that Noodle here would be changing color. So her base color is a dark red, which you're seeing here, but you might notice her change color throughout the video. And that can be an indication of her mood or activity level. It is still kind of unknown why an octopus would change their color because they are colorblind. So we don't actually understand how they can do this. It's one of the mysteries. If you decide to become a scientist later on in life, then you can help out and learn more. One of the other things that an octopus can do to defend themselves, which I'm sure most of you know, is they are able to squirt. So this is an ink cloud created by an octopus. And this is an easy way for them to deter a predator. So an octopus, although yes, they can swim, they use a siphon, which is a hole near their mantle in order to swim. It's a tube. They don't swim very well compared to most other animals. So what they do instead is they are going to squirt using their siphon and they'll make an ink cloud and then swim only a short distance away and then hide again. And that is the easiest way for them to survive in an interaction with a predator. So it is very important for an octopus to survive. And you can see Noodle is actually quite good at hiding. So she always does this. She's usually really good at nesting as well. When we come to our octopuses, if you're wondering how we get more octos, octopus generally only mate once in their lives. This species in particular only mates once because it is a very difficult process for them. They are a solitary type of animal, so it's hard to find a mate. And the female is a nester. So they're going to provide everything for their young, which includes oxygen-rich and nutrient-rich water for their habitat. So I actually have a picture of an octopus in their cave protecting their young. So as you can see here, those little white circles, those are young octos that this giant octopus is helping to protect and grow. Usually the octopus will put all of her energy into the growth of her young, sacrificing everything, including her own diet. So she won't eat, and she will provide all this care. And the care can be up to 150 days long. And then once this octopus is done with her care and giving oxygen to the babies, her body will provide the nutrients for her young to grow up nice and strong. And that can be somewhere between 20 and 100,000 eggs. So that is a lot of young, which a lot of them do get eaten because they're small organisms, but they're able to grow up into the big octopuses. And you might think it's sad that an octopus doesn't live that long, or all of their effort into raising their young, but I think it's actually quite beautiful. It's a special part of an octopus's life. It is one of their life stages. It is called senescence, and it's the last stage of any octopus. So an octopus will most likely live for a maximum, a hard maximum of 5 years. And then at that later stage in life, they will dedicate their entire lives to growing their young. And that last life stage is senescence. It's just a different way for an octopus to survive and for animals to survive in their habitats. And it is just very different from the strategies that people have in order to survive. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about how we can help this animal out in nature. So the giant Pacific octopus is currently listed as least concern on the IUCN Red List. And you might think that that means that they're doing fine because they're least concern. But this animal is actually really hard to count. They have lots of young, but very few make it to adulthood. And they are excellent at hiding, so that makes them hard to count. And on top of this, their lifespan is short. So even if you do count them, that would mean their numbers might change really quickly. Octopuses are threatened by many things, namely pollution, overharvesting, and climate change. I will focus today on climate change. The giant Pacific octopus requires cold water to survive. And if the habitat temperature is too warm, they will not be able to survive. Their bodies just won't work. They will actually flee warm water to favor a cold, oxygen-rich habitat. And some octopus even become trapped between those water types, the ones they really like and the ones they don't like so much. If this makes you sad and empowers you to help, there are things you can do. You may think that you as an individual can't help, but you can. If we all work together at something, we can help change the world. If you want to reduce your impact on climate change, try one new thing every year. Get in the habit, and soon you'll be helping a whole lot. Now, if I show you this, a lot of you might see this picture and think, oh no, that poor octopus is trapped in that bottle. Whereas I think, well, that's quite interesting. The octopus chose this as their hiding spot instead of shells or caves. And this is obviously pollution. But I think about the other way. That's a bottle. You could have used a reusable option. I always have mine with me. And you could have thought about how that is glass. And glass is extremely recyclable. So if it ended up in the water, someone didn't do their job properly. And there are many ways to recycle glass. Plastic, on the other hand, not very recyclable, but glass is extremely recyclable. And it should be able to go through the stream so it can be made into something new and different. And that poor octopus is using it as a home, so glass is really sharp, so that might hurt that animal. And lastly, I wanted to mention, just to empower you a little bit more, some ways that you can help are using human power to go places, so walking, or maybe using your human power with a bicycle, having electronic free playtime, so go outside, read a book, do a puzzle, or using more sustainably produced products that are both local and natural. But most importantly is to share, like what I'm doing right now. We often forget that we share this world with other animals, and they need our help. An octopus cannot advocate for themselves. Share what you know with others. I challenge all of you to share at least one thing you learned from today's video or any of our other March break videos with someone in your life. And maybe you can work with your family to all make this world a better place. Now I'm going to flip gears and go into our question period because I feel like we have some questions here. And we'll hopefully see the octopus again. It looks like they are doing some siphoning, which here at the aquarium is how we clean the habitat a little bit. And also it could just be Noodle wants to play with that toy. So let's see. Our first question here is, just pop it up on the screen. There we go. Do octopuses have tentacles? And the answer is no, they don't. Their close relatives do, but the octopus does not. The word tentacle often is used to describe long, skinny thing that comes off animal. But in this case, the actual biological name for what an octopus have are arms. And for this sort of animal, a arm is something that has suckers from the beginning where the mouth is all the way down to the tip. Whereas a tentacle has suckers just at the very end. So on a squid, they have 8 arms and 2 tentacles. And tentacles are used for collecting their prey. So they shoot out quickly and they catch their prey and they bring them in. And arms are used for fine manipulation. So an octopus has 8 arms. They're actually also handed. So if you're wondering, an octopus will favor one side of their body arms more than the other. Our second question is the correct plural, what is the correct plural form of octopus? So octopi, I know you might think is correct. It's actually based on where the word comes from, what we should use to conjugate a plural. So octopus is not Latin, it is Greek. So the way to conjugate a plural word in Greek is to add es, like you do in English. So that is why it is not octopi, and it is correct to say octopuses, even though it sounds weird. Our next question is, what animals are closely related to the octopus? Well, I did mention a couple, but they are in the group of cephalopod, and their close relatives are cuttlefish and squid, and this small animal called a nautilus. And they are also in the larger group of mollusks. So you have octopus relatives living in your garden right now. Those are snails and slugs. They're also quite closely related to other mollusks like clams and mussels. All right, our next question is, why does Noodle live alone? Well, she doesn't live with any other octos, but she does live with sea stars. So you might have noticed those in there. And one of the main reasons Noodle will live alone is Noodle and all other octos are territorial and they do not like sharing space. So even Noodle here and Octobius do not share anything. They don't share water. They don't share toys. Yes, we have toys for our octopuses and they do not share them because they do not want to taste another octopus on their toy. So Noodle here will spend all of her time alone and away from another octopus until it is mating time. We don't usually have octopus in an aquarium setting mating because they are so territorial. So we do keep them separate. And our last question here is, can you have a pet octopus? And the answer is you could technically, but it's a bad idea. So they don't live for very long. They're extremely hard to take care of. That's why we have the experts here at the aquarium taking care of them here. And also they're not the most sustainable resource to get an octopus because they're not really the best at reproducing. So for example, our octos here are not from an aquarium breeding program yet because we haven't successfully bred them. So they are actually from the wild. So for an aquarium setting for this wouldn't be the best idea to have them as a pet. But come visit an aquarium, get a membership at an aquarium is the best way to see an octopus on a regular basis. And you don't have to worry about the care, which is the hardest part because they are really intelligent. They get bored easily. And that's why we have to do so much to keep our animals comfortable at the aquarium. And we are extremely good at our jobs. We are accredited by both the Canadian Association of Zoos and Aquariums and the American version called the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And we want to make sure our octos and many other animals are having a happy, safe time here at the aquarium. All right, we are going to say goodbye to our octopus, and I'll bring myself back in. There we go. So I'm going to say goodbye to our octopus friend, and I just want to empower all of you to share what you've learned today and also to share on all of our social media handles about octopuses and all of their other friends. If you want to learn more, please look at our other YouTube videos. And also, please check out our next one. We have one more coming about the aquarium for our March break information sessions. And thank you all for sharing and learning with us today. And I'm just going to give you a quick wave goodbye, and I'll get my friend on the octopus side to give us a wave goodbye as well when I sign out. Bye, friends.